Hello, welcome back to another episode here at Catholic Table Talk Podcast. This is the podcast where everything Catholic is on the table as always. Thank you again for joining us. Another great week here at the show. Episode 119, couldn't do without you. Thank you for your continued support. If you'd like to sponsor the show or your merchandise, have a show topic or request, please email us at catholictt@gmail.com. Again, it's catholictt@gmail.com, the official email of Catholic Table Talk Podcast. If you're new, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification button so you never miss a week's show. And check out all of our platforms because we do stuff different on each platform. So make sure you check those out. Of course, one of my favorite days of the week's today, Thursday, new show. Got stuff going on, as well as later tonight. If you're watching this on the preview day, now if you're watching this any other time, the other episodes are way out. But for everyone who's watching it on the morning of this drops or listening to it, I will be on a podcast tonight from IHeart Radio Ministry with Bill Snyder, called Young Catholics Respond. I'll be on his podcast, and that airs at 6 p.m. Central Time. I'll be on it talking about my faith background and how the podcast came to be, and kind of an overview. There's much more to it, I think, but it's a great show. Follow Bill Snyder, IHeart Radio Ministry, and again, the actual podcast is Young Catholics Respond. I'll be the guest on tonight at 6 o'clock. Of course, if you're listening to this any other time after this show airs, it's a way out, so go listen to it. Thanks for Bill Snyder for helping me out with that, and he's been a great friend and worker of the show as well. Also, today's show is brought to you by Dr. Katrina Wing. Dr. Wing is a physician and medical doctor. See how she can help you, your family, your community out at mdkatrina.com. Also at mycatholicdoctor.com. Thank you for Dr. Wing for sponsoring today's show, as she has for the past almost year, it's easy to do. So like I say, get a hold of us if you want to become a sponsor of the show. Alright, so enough with the opening talk away. Today's episode 119, like I said, is social media boundaries. And when I saw this, the name of this, I kind of like, man, I should do a show on that because, again, it's a huge topic today, right? We're always on social media. I do not have my phone near me at this time, but if I did, I would guarantee you one of the apps that would probably open when I turn on my phone would be a social media app. Just because of the podcast, I kind of need to be on social media, right? But when it's really a boundary of social media, and like, how do we know how do we know if we're spending too much time on it? Because it does hurt relationships, which, I mean, it could be your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be your spouse, it could be your children, it could be your parents, it could be just other relatives, maybe you're spending too much time on social media during the holidays, around the dinner table or around the living room, or just have to get together. So, we're going to have a couple articles we're going to go through from multiple sites, but basically, 3 goals of mine that really kind of come to place. Again, for social media boundaries is for me, try to have, I go on usually when I'm kind of bored, even when I'm doing stuff for the podcast. It's like, okay, I'm bored, let's do something with the podcast on Instagram or Facebook. But, you kind of need to have a set time of when you get off. Now, I always set time. I usually just click off when I feel like it, which is not too long, but really have a set time of, okay, I got 10 minutes, I'm just going to browse through Facebook, Instagram, and see what's happening in the news or whatever, like your friends' posts, that's about it. And that 10 minutes is probably a little too long at one time. But, so kind of to have a set time limit of when you go on go on the social media apps. Also, I mean, again, I'm just kind of sort of making up these up as I go, but I mean, it's really, really encouraging because, I mean, also, so that kind of bounces off. The last one is, you know, only have set times per day that you go on social media. You know, maybe it's one time in the morning, one time at night. Maybe it's only when you're at work. You know, maybe at home you don't go on social media. Maybe it's just a couple breaks from work. You sit down, you look on social media, maybe just to get caught up in the news or whatever. You know, that's what you do. And the next thing is like, again, if you find yourself, I mean, because social media is just so bad with negative comments and pornographic images and just really not really Christian friendly, you could say. You know, if you find yourself just kind of, you know, scrolling down a rabbit hole of, you know, people arguing with the church or anything this leg, you know, stand up for your faith. But, I mean, again, you're only on there for a certain amount of time, so if you go on and you're like, this is, I'm getting all this negative feedback and comments, get out of it because, you know, it's just going to get worse from there. But, I mean, again, you have to go on because it's kind of like COVID. Social media is a bad thing in itself, like most things, right? You have a bad, it's good and bad. I mean, the bad thing is, it's so much, what can you trust on there besides maybe a couple of most trusted news sites in the nation? What can you know, just the stuff that happens on there, not that great, but it is a great way to spread the faith. And there are a lot of Catholic networks on there. There's a lot of Catholic people on there. There's a lot of just good things happening on there. So it's kind of like COVID. A lot of bad stuff came out of it, but a lot of good stuff came up about it as well. So, same thing. It has its pros and cons. But, and then of course you always have to figure in the screen time, right? I mean, it's just, if it really affects your sleep at night, if you're scrolling until 2 a.m., it really affects you the next day. I notice when I scroll for like an hour, even in the evening time, if I'm just, you know, scrolling, I have a hard time sleeping. So anyway, again, let's get to the couple articles here. And I think we'll do the first one through the Catholic News Agency. This is kind of a few years old article, but it's still a really good article. By Mary Farrell. Cutting ties with old friends before the internet used to be easy. After a breakup, people could easily lose touch with their ex, who could move on or change phone numbers. Tracking them down, saying Google or social media was at least somewhat difficult. And that's true. If someone breaks up, it's kind of easy to scroll through your ex's social media just to see if they're going out with anyone. And then that way, that creates envy, it could create lust, it could create something, right? Just going through the ex's page. And maybe the boredom of breaking up with them never really leaves for a long time because you still kind of follow them and you still kind of see them. Today that has changed, as an ex may be far from one's mind until a photo of their wedding or a baby or a recent vacation pops up on the social media feed. That could spell trouble for support relationships, according to a recent report on relationship happiness and online behaviors. And this is from late 2019, early 2020. And the survey that included 2,000 married single people spanning multiple generations in the United States, as well as data from General Social Survey, researchers found that couples who flirted with online boundaries and relationships were less happy than those who kept strong online boundaries. The analysis of the survey, entitled Fidelity, the State of Our Union in 2019, was a research project from the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia and School of Family Life at Brigham Young University. Those current married or single people who blur those boundaries are significantly less happy, less committed, and more likely to break up, while conversely, those taking a more careful stance online are happier, more committed, and are less likely to separate, the study finds, in the relationships. For example, those who do not follow a formal girlfriend, boyfriend online had a 62% likelihood of reporting that they were very happy in their relationship. Only 46% of those who did follow an old flame online reported being happy. The survey asked about 9 online behaviors and whether or not participants consider them to be unfaithful or cheating. According to the survey, most Americans, 70% or more, related 6 behaviors as cheating or unfaithful, including having a secret emotional relationship or sexting with someone other than a partner's or spouse without the partner or spouse's knowledge and consent. 3 behaviors were the exception. Most Americans do not find flirting with someone in real life, following a former love interest online, and consuming pornographic to be cheating or unfaithful behaviors. The results also vary by age, of course. Millennials, on one hand, were the most likely group to have permissive attitudes about online behaviors and were also the most likely group to admit engaging in online behaviors ranked as unfaithful or cheating. The editor of the survey, Brad Wilcox, and director of the National Marriage Project, told the Catholic News Agency that he had thought there were at least 3 possible reasons for this discrepancy. 1. Millennials have been shaped by the rise of the internet more than any other generation, so that has conditioned them to be more open to these kinds of boundary-crossing behaviors on the internet, he said. Another possibility is that they are just younger, and that's the story here. As they age and mature, they will be more prudent about how they approach the internet. The third possibility here is that they are more likely to be cohabiting couples than married. And we've also seen the data that cohabiting couples are more likely to cross these emotional and sexual boundaries online compared to married couples, he added. One of the most surprising and consoling findings of the study for Wilcox was that there was a noticeable decline in 8-point percentage over a 20-year span of people who said it was always wrong to have sex with someone who is not one's spouse. This is worrisome development because we know that support for sexual fidelity in principle and also living in virtual fidelity in practice are both linked to higher quality and more stable marriages, he said. So just kind of back up here. I mean, again, millennials, yes, that's when computers, technology really, boom, exploded, right? So it is kind of easier to cross the boundaries. And now, millennials, that was, starting in the late, mid-90s, early 90s, I believe. And they kind of went to about 10 years ago. So those people, I mean, let's just say, maybe they have matured and gotten older, which maybe some haven't. Now they're starting to have kids, and those kids, if their parents didn't really set boundaries, now those kids are crossing boundaries, and the whole snowball continues. Finishing up here, well, one of the findings of the study that surprised associate editor of the study, Jeffrey P. Drew, was the rate of unfaithfulness in marriage, and has remained stable over the past few decades, despite increasingly permissive attitudes about marriage and sexuality. In terms of the percent of ever married people who admit to having an affair, it's been stable about 15% over 2 or 3 decades now, Drew said. That surprises me, certainly as in society we're much more positive and tolerant of people's lifestyles, choices, and yet we still find when it comes to their own behavior, the vast majority would just as soon make sure that their own relationship is inclusive. Part of the problem of unfaithful online behaviors is that they can be based on false perception of that greater happiness lies elsewhere. I think even just following an old boyfriend or girlfriend can be a problematic because you compare what you think you see online to your own real life. And like I was saying earlier, it is kind of hard because you can still see them on social media. You might see them at school if you go to the same school. And that can kind of be a bad feeling, or lead to problematic things too. But if you see them on social media all the time, because maybe you break up, but maybe you don't break up online, maybe you still follow each other, well, that's problematic. Of course, we know that Instagram and Facebook and all those other social media sites, everyone portrays life as this golden, glowing, happy thing. So, of course, following own flame online might cause your court relationship to sour somewhat. Wilcox said that the way people perceive their online lives as being somewhat different or separate from their real lives could also be a factor in permissive attitudes toward online infidelity. So, yeah, so basically, another one, Jackie, from National Angel and her husband Bobby, the Catholic speakers. She says that the good rule of thumb for couples to consider is whether or not they would be okay with a spouse reading the text messages or social media messages. Basically, texting, the same thing. What would your friends say to that? What would your parents say to that? So, she continues, I would say anytime there's a secret outside your marriage with someone else, that's a bad sign. We should be able to open books with our spouses. They should be able to open our Facebooks, Twitter, Instagram, and we'd be absolutely okay with anything our spouses see. It's a bad sign if we're hiding it. So much of this stuff lives online. Where it used to be over and done, I didn't have to see an ex, Bobby said. But now it looks like but now it looks, it's like, look, here's a picture. So, of course, they say pornography hijacks our God-given ability to love and to long for beauty and just twist that so in its selfishness, Bobby said. And they're finishing up again. The reality is, if I allow myself to look at and be faithful to one only woman, emotionally and physically, my whole sexuality, my intimacy, and then go out and seek out pictures and videos of other people, it's absolutely cheating. It's cheating yourself as well as your relationship. It's a rippling effect. It doesn't make people happy. It just takes a toll on their family, because you're just in this angry, dejected state. I think if you look at it from the woman's perspective of cheating, did you go out and have the affair? Well, no, but I would say you're cheating in your relationship. It is this expression over and over again of just happened, but there were 9 boundaries crossed into this place of this just happened, and we're often not aware of these thresholds until it's too late. So again, basically, if you're hiding stuff and you want to hide stuff online, it's out there forever. It's not going to be good. So, and if you want your family or your spouse to see it, well, who do you want to see it? So again, apologize for a little longer episode today, but I'm just going to go over these brief. You can go back and read them if you like, a little bit more detail, but this is the one that I really found kind of interesting. The first one that I found is 5 relationships that changed when I deleted social media, from Chloe Langley. And like I said, this is the first article that I found, like, hey, this could be pretty good. So 5 of them. First one is, I'm learning what authentic self-care means. After I deleted my social media accounts, she says, the changes I saw to my relationship with myself was almost immediate. The first night I slept better because I had spent time before bed staring at my phone and getting in one last scroll through Instagram. After a few weeks, I noticed that my budget had a little more spending cash because I had bought something on impulse after viewing a clearly targeted ad. During my newfound free time, I not only read more, but I was also able to read for longer stretches of time as my attention span grew. I also began spending more time outside, working with my kids and by myself in our backyard during nap times. Because I don't post on social media anymore, I've found that I've taken less pictures, and this shift has made it easier to be present in the moment instead of living through the camera on my phone. Most importantly, she said, I've stopped comparing myself to other people as much as I did before, because I'm not comparing my life with the other people behind the online accounts. I'm growing in gratitude for the gifts Jesus has given me to steward and for the people He is asking me to love. You don't really have to swear off, go off social media to focus on building athletic self-care, she says. You can start by small, by setting timers on the apps you spend the most time on, or if you know the times of day you are most likely to mindlessly consume social media, set up your phone to shut the app down during those times. Finally, if scrolling through Instagram leaves you feeling dumpy, put the app into grayscale mode. I have never lost interest in Instagram as so fast as when everything was black and white. Second, I love my spouse more intentionally. At first glance, I didn't think that deactivating my social media accounts would have a big impact on my relationship with my husband. After all, we see each other face to face every day, and the main digital interaction we have is texting back and forth for more support during days with difficult work projects or kids. But only after a few days without social media, I tapped the empty place on my phone where the app once was, and I started to become aware of the times in my day that I had filled with mindless scrolling. I turned to those apps in the hopes of finding correction and empathy, but I missed out on the chance to connect with my spouse. Now, in the evenings, instead of scrolling through the social media and photos and other people's days, I'm making an intentional effort to turn to my husband and truly listen to how his day went. I'm striving to look him in the eye, put away anything that distracts me from what he's saying, and just be present with him. If you found your face-to-face relationship or taking a backseat due to your digital habits, choose small habits that make it easier to focus on what's at hand instead of being distracted by every phone notification. And with that being said, that is kind of, for me, it's kind of like when I set notifications for every app on my phone. I got the Minnesota Vikings app, the NFL app. I got a couple of video game apps. I got most of the social media apps. I got every time you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, okay. But it makes you look, right? And if you're really hooked on it, maybe it makes you click into it. So, yeah. So basically, she says, leave your phone in the car next time you grab a coffee with a friend and give yourself the chance to focus on the present moment. That was 3. This is 3. I'm more present with my kids and even in the hard moments. Now that I'm creating Instagram stories, I'm not creating Instagram stories about my day or scrolling Facebook, I find it easier to simply exist in the present moment with my kids and my daughters. Sometimes the present moment is not a pleasant moment, like when I'm helping a 3-year-old process big emotions or asking her to stop pushing her baby sister. When I use social media as an escape, it was these moments when I would most reach for my phone to scroll or even just check for notifications. But those messy moments were also invitations from Christ to be present to Him in the lives of His children, and practice of the couple works of mercy in my own home. Sometimes the hungry are the people in your family who need dinner, the thirsty are the babies who need bottles warmed up, and the naked are the toddlers who don't think they need to wear clothes. Maybe you're discovering the browsing social media leaves you disconnected with your present moment, wishing you could be anywhere but you are at the moment in those times. Instead of asking Christ to get you out of the current situation, ask Him why He has you there. 4. Conversation with friends has become more intentional. One of the biggest lies I had to work through after getting rid of my social media was that without those accounts, I would be lonely and totally unconnected. I wouldn't see big life updates from friends like engagements, baby announcements, or out of town moves. Johnny and Kim are moving out of town. Wow. To combat the lie that I found to have on social media in order to stay connected with friends, I need to become more intentional. It used to be when I was wondering what a friend was up to, I would search for a name on Instagram or Facebook and catch up through her posts and stories. Now I send her a text or give her a call and ask how she's doing because I want to continue growing in friendship with the people in my own community. I'm asking people to come to the park for play days more and spending more time after mass catching with friends. When I do sit down with friends, conversations are so much more intentional and exciting instead of knowing exactly what they're going to say when I ask them how they're doing, because hey, I follow them on social media. Everything that they share is new to me. If you want to be more intentional with friendship and people in your local community, start by extending an invitation to one person. Maybe it's a friend from college who recently landed in the same city as you, but you haven't caught up yet. Or it could be one of the women in your small group who you want to know better. Get together face to face and catch up over a cup of coffee or dinner and get to know their stories. People always go out for coffee every morning. People are like, wow, why you go out for coffee? You spend $5. You spend $5 and you could be saving those $5. Oh, you guys don't really talk about much anything. Same stuff every day. But you're out seeing them, you're out visiting them face to face instead of just kind of going through social media. So yeah, it's especially when it's that portion, like she puts it. If it's if you go through and it's a couple of friends or something, and you're like, oh, I already saw this happen to so and so. Oh, okay, But if you follow the person and you want to catch up with them online, that's almost wasting your time, both when you look them up online and when you're in face to face, because you already know what they're going to say, right? So, but at the cup of coffee, again, spending $5 a day for a cup of coffee, hanging out for an hour, visiting with just friends and talking, that's a great thing. And lastly, again, to finish up here, taking my digital friendships to the next level. There were so many women I met during my time on Instagram and I hated to lose connection with them, but I knew if I wasn't intentional, those friendships would fade. This was especially true since I was walking away from Instagram, where I not only met those women, but also communicate with them. And in the weeks leading up to deactivating Instagram, I made notes of whose stories, posts, and thoughts I enjoy reading. And since scrolling through the stories wasn't an option anymore, I started sending emails and reaching out. Since logging out of social media, I've had Zoom chats during nap times with women who I mainly saw on my Instagram. I also sent an email to a woman who I modeled from afar on social media and introduced myself and shared how she inspired me and was able to have a great conversation with her. When I had an active Instagram account, I love following writers and reading their reflections on life, motherhood, and faith, but those women don't write exclusively on Instagram. Many of them have blogs, books, and email newsletters. So, again, yeah, they might have an Instagram page, but they don't really have an Instagram, they don't really do much on Instagram. Kind of like us. We have an Instagram page, but we don't really have an episode on Instagram, right? We just kind of post stories and that's about it. Polls and that, yeah. So, social media can be a fantastic tool to connect with others, educate yourself, and just have fun. And you stay in touch, but I've also discovered that I have to be more cautious and clear with myself as I navigate social media. Taking a hard look at my digital habits and making the decision to take an international step back for now not only helps me and the people I love in my home and in my local community more, but it also helps me to grow intentionally with the women I connect with digitally. So, as she says, and that's something worth sharing about. So again, I feel like you could have like another whole show on this, maybe have your questions on it, but I'll have three articles, 3 links for you. I did 2 of them. The third one is from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. It's probably the longest article that we talked about, and as again, it's kind of more social media boundaries, and maybe I should have went through that one, but like I said, let me know what you think. I can do another show on it if you'd like me to, a little more in depth too of what you mean. But again, I mean, like I said, you should have kind of set time of when you go on, have a set time of how long you should be on, and if you really find yourself just kind of, going astray from, kind of doing God's work on there, like fulfilling God's kingdom on there, then it's a good time to leave and maybe stay off for a little bit. Or at least get off for short. So, again, social media, great thing to have at times. It can also be a bad thing to have at times. It's just, some people get, stuff to cut out all the spam stuff that's happening on social media. Some people only follow, like I said, there's so many Catholic people and Christian people on there. It's unbelievable. So they only follow them, and that's kind of, maybe you go on there for encouragement, You only follow Catholic people, and they put out posts and quotes every day. You're inspired by them. But, again, it's a good thing to have, but again, it's really, really good to learn what your habits are and what you can do better. And, I mean, especially during Lent, right? During Lent is a great time. I take off social media during Lent, at least most of it, and it's really nice to do. It's really hard at first, but it's really nice to do. And that's where podcast continues to grow, get more people helping out. I probably get to do less stuff on social media, so that's gonna be hopefully fun too. And again, I mean, it's a good thing to have, but I mean, limit of how many people you follow, and just what you do on there, like I said. So, I don't know. That's what I got. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If I think of anything, I'll put in the comments too. But again, good thing, but it's also gonna be a bad thing. So, take advantage of the good and get rid of the bad. There you go. Alright, everyone. We'll see you next time. Hey, don't forget, I'll be on the show tonight, 6 o'clock. Bill Snyder, Young Catholics Respond, 6 p.m. I'll talk about my faith life and on the podcast. If you listen to this any other time after September 14th, 2023, go look it up. It's already out. And next week, we have Tom Basili on to talk about it's almost kind of like the same thing. How to be positive in today's society, which, again, social media is part of today's society. So maybe I'll have to bring up a pop-up question to him next week about it. But Tom Basili, Newsmax TV host, next week, and we'll see you then. Stay grace, guys, and stay off social media if you can. Stay on for spreading the good news. And spread the good news today wherever you're at. See you next week. Catholic Table Talk Podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table.